Are you looking for your next summer read? I've got the book for you. Do you like historical fiction? Do you like the Gilded Age? This fantastic author, Cecelia Tichi, has written a whole series about that. And guess what? We have her right here on the talk show, Briggs on Books. Welcome, Cecelia.
Hello, Mike. Good to see you.
Tell our
Good to
viewers
be
where you
here.
are right now.
I am in Nashville, Tennessee, but I'll tell you, about 3 weeks ago, I was in Newport, Rhode Island,
Mm-hmm.
where I have gone any number of times, and I was there for a gig, gave a little talk, but also it's research because my latest mystery novel is set in Newport, Rhode Island. Thinking you're on the West Coast, you want to be cool and visit another time. Maybe you go to the Del Coronado
Yep.
in San
We do
Diego.
that. Yep.
Okay. On the East Coast, maybe you go to Newport, Rhode Island,
Mm-hmm.
an island. It's cool there when it's stifling in other places, but Newport is a gem of an island because the Gilded Age is sort of preserved there. The Preservation Society does a
Mm.
terrific job. These were so-called cottages that the very wealthy occupied for only 6 weeks every summer,
Wow.
and it's really fertile ground for my mystery historical novel series. Let me just say, I spent like many years at work in Gilded Age literature,
Mm-hmm.
art, technology, and now I'm bringing it home in this mystery series, the Val and Roddy DeVere series.
Mm-hmm.
It's a couple. She is a silver heiress from the West. He's an old New York fifth generation gentleman, and they first get involved trying to save a friend of theirs who's being threatened with murder.
Mm.
And that book is A Gilded Death, and I've got it right here. I've come around after that year, summer of 1899. The couple is back in Newport, and our heroine has decided to have her portrait painted because the hubby has been after her. I want a portrait of you. Oh, let's do it. So she agrees, and she's going to the gallery to make the appointment. Now, here's my challenge as a writer, and here I hope is a reward for the reader. There is one avenue in Newport that everybody knows. It is the premier Bellevue Avenue
Bellevue.
and Bellevue. And within it, there's a set of boutiques called the Travers Block, owned by the Travers family. It's a well-known name on Long Island Sound, yachting, so on. And my character is going to a boutique gallery on the Travers Block at 11 o'clock one morning, July the 10th, 1899. I'm going to read a little swatch, if I
Oh,
may.
please.
Okay. The latch gave way, the doors swung open, and I stepped inside, my husband behind me. A shaft of light pierced the dim interior, but no one answered our greeting. I took another step forward, then halted at the sight in front of me. Halfway sitting on a table, like a figure from Pompeii, Warren, the manager, screamed in silence, his hands like claws that clutched at a gilt frame pulled down over his head and shoulders. Framed, the man was framed. Then the blood, the ripe red that darkened his cream-colored suit and shirt and dribbled to the floor where I saw the knife. I bent to pick it up, a jeweled handle that twinkled in my gloved hand as familiar voices behind me cried out, "Is it you? Oh, what we have here, Valentine! Is it you? Oh, what have we?" So suddenly, the heroine of my series is accused of and thought of murder. And the rest of the novel, she's trying to clear her name as she is taunted on a yacht, and in a house that any visitor can drive past or bicycle past to this day. It is Mamie and Stuyvesant Fish's Crossways. That's the name of the house, seafront house. And there it is. I think it's condos today, but the shape of it is still there. So the point is, it's Newport from
Yeah.
1899, but it's Newport for the reader in 2024.
People will recognize places and streets. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And my task, having already set one of these novels, the first one in Newport, is to set upon the other places, the cliff walk, the 40 steps where the servants used to gather on their nights off, a church here and there, and of course the Travers Block, which features anew. So a whole set of alternative sites where drama and conflict and love and friendship can take place. And of course, carriages and horses, clip clop, match sets, and in the afternoon, in the Victoria, and these are Gilded Age carriages, open wide carriages, tufted, the ladies passing one another, well dressed, waving the first time they see one another, the second time slightly nodding, the third time ignoring each other as they cross. That's etiquette. And etiquette was a number one for all the ladies.
By the way, the cover I have up on the screen is a gilded frame. And
Yes.
where does that come in the series? Is this your latest book?
It's number 6, and I'm rounding the turn on number 7.
Okay.
But yes, it's the latest one, and of course with the frame and a kind of scowling figure there. I was given about half a dozen possible covers. I chose that one because I thought it was alluring and dark enough.
Yeah.
And so light and dark have to mix. And you know, we have talked about the basis of historical fiction, mystery fiction, that there is injustice that's taken place, and the whole arc of the story is to restore a better time or to anticipate a better time to come. That's the game. And and a writer friend said to mine, you know, you can start the book and it gets off like a rocket. And then at the end, you know, it's coming round the bend and it's nose, you know, it's like a horse race. Who's going to win? But in the middle, he said, the middle, there's your challenge. You've got to recharge. And so I do, and so I hope I do for the reader, because all the way along, a reader needs not only to stay engaged, readers need little presents, a fun turn of phrase, a surprising image, you know, a verb that's fresh and new. And that's our challenge. It's always our challenge. So line by line, we've got to keep it going. There it is.
Yeah. Now, do we have to start with book 1, or can we start anywhere in the series?
That's the best question. Anywhere in the series. And they all have gilded in the title. And I purposely wrote them so that any single one can be picked up, and it's called a standalone. It's intact. There are references that some readers have noticed. Oh, I see that character's come back. Oh, I see those same horses that they have. Yes, but it's not dependent on starting with number 1. I never have liked that myself as a reader. I feel kind of roped in, you know, start at the beginning. It sounds a little like first grade when I was in first grade, so never mind that. Any book, pick it up. There are 6 of them now and a 7th to come.
Well, I have often stumbled upon the middle of a series and started in the middle, and I love going back and going forward. It's a fun way to do it. I'm anxious to read about your heroine who came from the West and how they let her fit into that Gilded Age society.
Well, that is a great comment because she's too rich to be ignored.
Mm.
And it's her fortune from Papa's silver bonanza bounty that has saved her husband's family from near bankruptcy.
Mm-hmm.
Historically, the 1890s, from 1893 for the next 7 years, this country was in a depression,
Mm.
and his family almost went over the cliff. So she's very rich. She has funded his family, and she's, as I say, too wealthy to be ignored, but she doesn't fit in.
Right.
She has good manners, but etiquette is a
Mm.
whole different thing. If we look at the sterling silver sets from that era, the fish knife, the pickle fork, fruit knives,
Mm.
and she has to learn all this. She sometimes thinks, as the story goes on, back there in the past, she's at dinner with her husband, dinner party. They're being served trout. She looks at the trout on the plate. She remembers the time in the mountain streams of Colorado when she was raised in the mountain camps with her papa, and they plucked fresh trout out of the stream and they ate with the flat of the blade that flayed it.
Mm.
Now, there she was. She remembers that past, and with Papa, her mama unfortunately passed away, and her papa was an immigrant from Ireland.
Mm.
And that is based on John Mackay, who was exactly that Silver King.
Mm.
Uh, I gave him this daughter. She's born on February 14, and he named her Valentine.
Ah. So she gets to
And
New
she is
York.
Val.
She gets to New York and they approach a trout differently.
She has to use her fish knife
Fish knife.
and the proper fork, and she has a very good friend who's helping her along. If they're at the same dinner party, her friend gives her a cue about which silver implement among the many to choose. This friend also has paranormal powers.
Oh, nice.
Her name is Cassie, and I sometimes tell a group of writers and readers, do not, as a writer, ever invent a character you don't believe in.
Mm.
So here is this good friend character. Cassie is her name, Cassandra. And she has visionary powers beyond the space and time that most of us live in. We've all had these experiences in which we're thinking of a friend who lives far away and who calls us that very friend at that very moment. So many coincidences. We are not, in Western culture, encouraged ever to explore these dimensions. I don't call myself a psychic, but I think there have been too many coincidences for
Yeah.
me to dismiss. So here is Val's good friend, and she has visions, sometimes preludes to what might come, and it's dark and it's dangerous. Mm.
By the way, again, here's the cover of the book. I do want to tell you or remind you, you can't see it, Cecelia, but we have your web address on the screen, ccbooks.com. What would our viewers find there?
They'll find about 20 books if they really scour around. They will find the Val and Roddy DeVere series, Gilded Age series, all of those. They will find a book on Gilded Age cocktails.
Nice.
And not so, by the way, cocktails were an invention of the Gilded Age. They did not exist. Any additives to one's whiskey or gin was considered cheapening
Wow.
dilution, adulteration. So it was only in about the 1870s that bartenders took off with fruit juices and bitters and slices of fruit and all of that. So they will find Gilded Age cocktails, and they'll probably find as well Jazz Age cocktails
Hmm.
and mid-century cocktails. I've been on a roll, and a book called "What Would Mrs. Astor Do?"
Mm.
About the manners and mores of the Gilded Age. And in a way, that book was a kind of launch for the mystery series.
Mm.
Uh, Also, a book on Jack London, and that's a Gilded Age book too. I would say Jack is a much underappreciated
Yeah.
American writer. It's not just The Call of the Wild. He was trying his best to get America to be more generous to all of us
Yeah.
in his writings. Yeah. So that's what they'll find. But take your pick. They're all there. They're all available.
Can we order your
And
books directly from the website?
you can order them directly from the website, and you can get them on a Kindle or other reader or a paperback that'll be sent right to your door
Right.
or to your bookstore if you want to order through a bookstore.
Well, my son sent me a Kindle for Father's Day. I have not unwrapped it yet, but this sounds like a good place to start my Kindle with your books.
You know, let me just say, upstairs in I'll call it my workshop or my boiler room, I've got about 2,000 books.
Yeah.
If I start thinking about them as wood products,
Mm-hmm.
I've got about 8 cords of wood up there.
Got a forest up there.
And so, applause for the Kindle.
Yeah. Yeah, it's getting harder for me to read and see the print, so I'm thinking Kindle, maybe I could blow it up a little bit and,
Right, and you know, and some publishers are relying on smaller print,
yeah,
narrower spaces between the lines. I mean, are they calculating pennies?
yeah,
But they could be losing some actual, you know, people who like to hold a book in hand.
yeah,
One of my writer friends said when he saw the book, he thought it shouldn't be a pamphlet; it should be a book.
yeah,
Tiny little print, you know.
yeah.
Like read the fine print.
Well, I'm glad your books are out there in all those formats, so that's great. Of course, Cecelia, we've gone way over time again, as we always do. Any last thoughts you want to share with our readers or our viewers?
I just want to say that Briggs on Books, uh, I just think it's terrific.
Thank you.
All of us who write are looking for the lifelines that can connect us to readers.
Yeah,
We ourselves can do a certain amount, but you know we're busy at the keyboard trying to
yeah,
write the books, and so Briggs on Books. Uh, you're lively. The authors you have on are so interesting, fiction, nonfiction, sometimes politics. And I would just say, keep this going,
thank
mister.
you. I'm having so much fun doing it. So, uh, our guest, of course, is author Cecelia Tichi. And look at the book. This is, I think, number 6. Number 7 is coming. And number 6 is called Death in a Gilded Frame. Thank you, Cecelia. And
Thank you, Mike.
I can't wait to have you back on the show again. We'll be right back with more authors right after this.